Hey guys, welcome back, and once again it's Daniel Ndukwu. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 key ideas from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now this book holds a special place in my life because it's one of the first books that I ever read when I started my self-development, personal development, and really wealth creation journey many years back. It's opened my eyes to the possibility of really what you can do when you think. So without further ado, let's jump in. Now, Think and Grow Rich was written by Napoleon Hill almost 100 years ago. During that time, it's been translated into multiple languages and has sold over 100 million copies. So Napoleon Hill, there are some interesting things about this guy. Napoleon Hill was actually considered a charlatan during his day. He was involved in some shady things, to say the least. Many scholars have since analyzed the book and have doubted the veracity of his claims that Andrew Carnegie, the billionaire capitalist of our day, well, during that time, he was worth a couple $100 million, but when you adjust for inflation, he's one of the richest men to have ever lived. Yeah, richer than Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and all those guys. So when you think about that, why would Andrew Carnegie choose this guy out of all the other guys in the world that actually had good reputations? Why would he choose him to write this book? Nobody knows. It's up for debate. And another author that he seems to have borrowed heavily from is named Wallace D. Waddell, who wrote The Science of Getting Rich. Now, this is a much more obscure title, but it has a lot of the same concepts about attracting wealth, the power of your mind, etc., etc. It's important to keep that in mind and understand the background behind the person creating the work. At the same time, his teachings are sound, and many people have claimed to achieve success because of it. And I myself, it opened my mind to the possibilities out there and started me on a path that's been many years in the making. And while I won't say that that was the turning point or the determining factor, it has definitely played a role. I got something different. So I actually created a PowerPoint. So let's see how that works out. So let's jump on over to the computer and I'll go through the PowerPoint and explain those 10 key concepts. So let's dive right in and look at the 10 key ideas from Think and Grow Rich. Now, the first one is thoughts are powerful. They shape all of your reality. Now, when you have the right thoughts, when you think the right things, when you think about how you're going to better yourself, improve your situation, it starts to manifest in your life. And that's one of the key tenets of Napoleon Hill's book. And most people don't guard or actively direct their thoughts. If a bad thought comes in, they kind of let it come in and run with it. They get depressed, they get upset, they get anxious. But if you're able to actively direct your thoughts, then everything changes. And they have linear thinking instead of non-linear thinking. Linear thinking is when you only consider your past experience and the information that you have right in front of you, so you come to one conclusion and or one solution. Whereas non-linear thinking is when you use your past experiences, the experiences of others, things that aren't even related to what you're focusing on right now. Maybe you're talking about a business problem, but your kid did something yesterday. You can draw that information and come up with novel and different solutions, even at times more than one solution to the problem. That's what happens when you're able to tap into your thoughts. And that's the first key takeaway. Your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts are important. Guard them and use them well. Now, the second one is that desire is essential. For some reason in our society, desire is now frowned upon. Without that desire, you won't put in the effort, the commitment required to achieve what you want to achieve. Because real desire, true desire, produces commitment, and commitment helps you put in the hard work. Because let me tell you, if you're really trying to be successful, it gets hard. There are times when you're not seeing the results you need. There are times when you're trying to make payroll. There are times when you're trying to get that pay raise, whatever it is. Desire and real true ambition towards that goal is what makes it possible. And you also need to have faith. Not, I think I can do it. I'm talking about unwavering, unshaking faith. Now, the only person that you have to convince, at least at first, is yourself. If you don't convince yourself, if you don't believe in it yourself, then nothing else matters. Because when you're trying to pitch other people, when you're trying to pitch your spouse, your kids, your parents, your colleagues, that investor that you want, if you don't believe it, they can tell and they won't jump on board with your idea. So you first have to convince yourself before you convince anybody else. And then this faith, this true faith, reprograms your mind, which acts on you subconsciously. So it dives into your subconscious starts to believe it, and you subconsciously take the actions necessary to achieve your goals because you have faith that you can do it. It can also have an equal negative effect. So if you have faith that you're not going to amount to anything, that you can't start this business, that you can't get this raise, that you're not a good parent, then that's what your subconscious is going to manifest. And that's one of the key takeaways from Hill's book. If you don't have the faith, then the desire to want something and the thoughts, they're not going to make any difference. You have to believe in it, and then you have to want it really, really bad, and you have to think the right thoughts. So what you want to do is you want to write down your goals and say them like affirmations. You want to write down some of your key goals, whether that's getting a raise, starting a business, growing your business to a certain amount, and you want to tear them out of whatever book you wrote them in. Find a quiet place, and you want to repeat these affirmations multiple times a day. In the beginning, you want to do it in the morning and night. And then maybe if you're feeling down, or maybe you're feeling like, man, you can't do this, you want to repeat those affirmations. Make sure those goals are front and center. Hill also talks about having specialized knowledge. He divides knowledge into two categories. Generalists, now these are teachers, managers, sales reps, clerks, accountants, lawyers. Now, you might think that some of these things are specialized knowledge, but they're really not. Anyone can be, well, not anyone, but you can be a lawyer, but then there are specialties. There's corporate law, there's personal injury law, there's family law, there's estate law. And so when you specialize, you can be a general practitioner, but when you specialize, that's when you really see the results of the knowledge that you've gained. Now, specialized knowledge can include, but is not limited to, things about your market, about your products, about your goals. Continuous and never ending. Like, specialist knowledge, it doesn't stop when you put down the pen when you graduate from high school or college or whatever the case may be. It's continuous and never ending. You gather it from so many different places. You gather it from other people, you gather it from your experiences, you gather it from books, from even movies. I mean, there's so many places to gather specialist knowledge, but the fact of the matter is that you have it and you can apply it. Now, another thing that's super important and that is really looked over a lot of the time is having imagination. There are two types of imagination. Now, synthetic imagination is really linear, and it's like that part of your brain that deals with equations and rational thought. Now, there's nothing wrong with synthetic or past experiences kind of dictating your future, but when it's relied upon too heavily, you're unable to see novel solutions to the problem at hand. So if you want a blueprint for all these things, if you want a blueprint for success, then you're using synthetic imagination. But when you create your own blueprint, you test, you experiment, and you try and do all these things, then you're using creative imagination. And this is true inspiration. This is what people who paint, who create art, who write books, who make movies, who write scripts, etc., this is what they do. But at the same time, people who excel in their fields also have creative imagination. Business leaders, high-performing consultants, high-performing salary employee or managers or whatever, they have creative inspiration. They have creative imagination, which leads to true inspiration. So that's another key idea. You need imagination. You need both synthetic and creative. You need to know when to apply each one. Decision-making versus procrastination. Now, procrastinators, we all know them, and I'm guilty of it. I was procrastinating before I created this video, if truth be told. But the difference between a procrastinator and a decision maker is that procrastinators, they know they're procrastinating and they continue to procrastinate. Well, you can't get anything done if you're not putting in the work and the effort. No matter how easy the task is, one thing you need to understand is that motivation does not beget action. Action begets motivation. So you need to get started, and then the motivation will kick in and allow you to continue. Decision makers have a bias towards action. I'm not really a fan of just start, just take massive action, but it's better than nothing. So if there's an option of waiting until you have all the information that you need and just starting today and taking baby steps, I'll always go with the take baby steps because you can learn along the way. This does come with the caveat that what you're doing does require a lot of specialized knowledge. Set a specific time frame for how long you're going to be gathering that information before you start. So if you exceed that time frame, then you just got to start. Just look at it like this. A procrastinator will want to get all the information, make all the right moves, and they might delay their starting for, let's say, 6 months. Whereas a decision maker has a bias towards action and starts after a month. So they have 5 months of hands-on experience learning and doing, whereas that procrastinator is starting 6 months later, and their carefully crafted plan may not even yield the fruits that they're looking for. So you have to go back to the drawing board because they're a procrastinator. They're not going to keep going. They want to go back to the drawing board, create a new plan that's going to work out, hopefully, and maybe they've lost 6 months. And that decision maker, they've learned everything that they needed to learn, and now they're starting to see massive results. So when in doubt, have a bias towards action. And then masterminds. I really love this one because you can only do so much on your own. Any successful person in any field, in any endeavor, will tell you that they had support in some way, shape, or another. If they tell you that they did it all on their own, they're lying or they want to sell you something. Masterminds make it possible to do more or get different perspectives on a problem that can be challenging for you. Now, if you show me who you surround yourself with, I'll show you who you are. This is an old saying. I just kind of remixed it a bit. That is your mastermind, and their thoughts affect you. But when you have a good mastermind, 1 plus 1 no longer equals 2. 1 plus 1 equals 3 because it's like a multiplication effect. 1 plus 1 equals 4, or 2 times 2 equals 10. It compounds. So you have this person's ideas, you have this person's ideas, you have your ideas, then you combine them together and then you distill them, and you have a completely different outcome than if it was just you or just another person trying to work on the same problem. Sex transmutation. For some reason, sex is frowned upon in our society, but it's really powerful. Sexual energy can be channeled into different areas. Instead of trying to chase a skirt or chase some boxer briefs, you're actually chasing a goal. You're transmuting that sexual energy into a point of creativity, of ambition, of enthusiasm towards your overarching goal. This can change everything when used properly. When you're channeling your sexual energy into a goal, it's reflected as enthusiasm and passion in everything you do. And that confidence is a stain that can't be wiped off. So you're confident and you're going into these meetings, you're going into these situations that other people would cower under, and you're strong and you're confident in your ability to get the job done. And people gravitate towards that because, let me tell you, a lot of people are worried, they're afraid. And when they see somebody that appears to have it together, they gravitate to that person so they can understand and so they can tap into that confidence, that energy. Whether you realize it or not, we feed off other people's energy. So if someone has positive vibes, you can feel that. Someone has negative vibes, you can feel that, and you want to avoid the person. So this sexual energy that's transmuted into energy that takes you towards your goals, it'll help you also attract the right people to your team or to whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, the subconscious mind. Think of it as a sponge that absorbs and stores everything, whether you realize it or not, whether you registered it with your conscious mind or not. The way the room is arranged, you might not register that with your conscious mind, but if you're hypnotized and they ask you to talk about it, then you'll be able to describe that room in minute detail because your unconscious mind has been able to take a snapshot. Now, the reason why everything isn't available to our conscious mind is because there are too many stimuli in the world. And if we were trying to register everything, then we'd basically be unable to do anything. But your subconscious mind takes care of that. And if you feed it and think about the right things, they'll start to manifest in your life because your subconscious mind will start pushing those things out. And Hill really hammers on this. He really talks about how the subconscious mind is a powerful force. You got to feed it the right thing. That's why you're doing those manifestations. That's why you're writing down your goals. That's why you're focusing on the right ideas and thoughts and trying to minimize your attention towards the negative ideas and thoughts. So once you do that, the subconscious mind will start to manifest it in your reality. You'll start making the right moves, and eventually you get to where you want to be. Now, the last one is fear. A famous quote says the only thing to fear is fear itself. I mean, that's true, and it's also a lie. There are things that you should actually be afraid of, right? But the majority of the time, there's nothing to be afraid of, like starting that new idea, asking for a raise. We're doing it to ourselves. And the majority of fear that we experience is a physiological response to things that can't actually hurt us. It's a vestige of when we still lived in the jungles and lions and tigers were still hunting our ancestors. Fear shouldn't be your driving force. Now, there are different types of fear. It's not just fear for physical harm. It's fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of ridicule. Now, you need to understand and master these fears. Hill said that until you can do that, you won't be able to achieve anything that you set out for yourself. Whether I agree with that, I can't say. But it's an important lesson that you need to understand, embrace, and overcome your fear. Because everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Now, those are the 10 key ideas. I hope you found them useful and interesting. And I want you to go out there and crush it. Now, if you like book summaries, if you like the summary I just gave, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because we're going to be making more of these in the future.